Several years back, I had asked a group of folks, diverse ages and from different areas of our church, a simple question. Describe an experience of someone helping you to become a better disciple of Christ. Describe an experience of someone helping you to become a better disciple of Christ. Someone who intentionally made a concerted effort to assist you in deepening your relationship with Christ and ability to follow after Him. And then we went around the room, there were about a dozen folks, and answered that question. One person, actually a couple of people talked about their youth pastor growing up in high school, had a profound impact in their lives. Several talked about their campus staff worker or an older student involved in InterVarsity or Campus Crusade or Navigators of one of these campus ministries. Some talked about a graduate school fellowship that they were involved with. What was glaringly lacking was people talking about their adult experience after they graduated from college or grad school and having someone intentionally build into their life. And that struck me as wrong. It just is a failing of the church then. Because the heart of what we are called to, what gave birth to the church, was Jesus' commission. Go and make disciples of all the nations. He didn't command us to have the slickest worship services. He didn't command us to have great programs. He commanded us to go and make disciples. And in fact, what was the birth of the church is the driving motivation of the church. So Paul talks about in Colossians, we proclaim him, admonishing and teaching everyone with all wisdom. So all the suffering that Paul goes through, the various beatings and being stoned and left outside the city and the sleepless nights and the shipwrecks, all of that. What's the purpose of all of that? So that we may present everyone fully mature in Christ. To this end I labor, struggling with all his energy, which so powerfully works in me. So part of the Lenten discipleship endeavor is to do this for one another. Yes, in a modest way. I mean, what can be accomplished in 6 weeks? But it's this 1 degree shift of conviction and application that the central thing for us as believers is to make disciples of Christ. This is why we gather here, to worship God and make disciples. So we've had, this is year 4. I know for many of you this is year 1, but this is actually year 4. We've been running this 3 years previously in the evening service, and each year we had this, well, if we had 4 years with a person, what is it that we would wish to build into their life? Year 1, we did knowing God and the practice of prayer. Year 2, we did knowing the gospel and the practice of wisdom. Year 3, we did knowing the God of the Old Testament and the practice of a generous, just life. And this year, we're doing knowing the God of love in Genesis and how to love better in a broken world. And in fact, this probably is where the rubber meets the road for every one of us. We are called to love one another. It is the central command. It is Jesus' deepest prayer for us on the night that he was betrayed. But it's probably the hardest thing for us to do, to love each other. And Gordon gave a fantastic and pointed sermon right in that direction. So in becoming better disciples of Christ, you are helping one another engage in the most central, but probably the most difficult thing that we will ever have to do in this lifetime. Learning how to love sinful people in a fallen world. And if we can, over the course of these next 6 weeks, help each other, disciple each other, one step better in that way, then we will have pleased God in the most significant fashion and have been a part of answering Jesus' own prayer on the night he was betrayed. You all are answering, you're part of the answer to God's Jesus prayer that night. No pressure now, right? But it comes with that promise. It's not just that those who have been organizing this have been praying for you. Do you realize Jesus has been praying for you in this context? He's praying that you build relationships and help each other build better relationships. So, this is why we do what we're doing here. This is why we're so pleased that you are building this space in your life. There'll be series of exercises that you'll be doing in these groups. And there'll be daily exercises, see in your booklets that you'll be invited to do throughout the week. And we invite you to take these exercises and to trust that these groups are going to be safe places for you to share your aspirations and your struggles. Now, you'll see one of the first exercises that we have in small group sharing time is that we're going to give you a bit of time to reflect on some of your most meaningful friendships, family member relationships, or community experiences. And as you think about that list in your mind, pick one, and not your spouse. Okay, just pick one. But we prefer that you choose someone that you have to make an intentional choice to continue to foster relationships. So someone outside of marriage. And describe this to your group. So we give you a couple of minutes of just silent reflection. And then you're going to describe to the group this relationship. What qualities make this relationship so special? What helps you feel connected with this person or this particular group? How did this relationship become this way? Maybe you can share a quick, 2-minute story that encapsulates that. And then, for those who are listening to the story, think about common themes that you hear arising. What are common things that make all relationships work? And then also think about the variations. What are the unique things that the people in your group look for in strong relationships? And to be attentive to that. All right? And so you'll have a time of discussion. I'll come back in about halfway or so to describe the Colossians exercise, and then we'll have the other half to talk about that as well. So go ahead, and I imagine that a lot of your groups will need to continue with the getting to know you part. But so that everyone has a corporate time of silence and not some groups talking and some groups trying to do the reflection, I'm going to ask for all of us to take the next couple of minutes to do the silent reflection on thinking about a relationship. And then when you start talking, if you need to just pick up on introducing yourselves to one another, go ahead and do that and then move it right into the exercise. All right? Make sense? Great.